A driver just told NASCAR, "I'm done." But not the way you think. Alex Bowman isn't walking away broke, benched, or blackballed. He's walking away on his own terms at the top of one of the sport's most powerful teams, and that decision right there might be more dangerous than anything happening on the track this season. Stick around, because what's really going on behind this announcement says a lot more about NASCAR in 2026 than a simple retirement headline ever could. Here's the situation in plain terms. Alex Bowman, driver of the number 4 asterisk 48 Chevrolet for Hendrick Motorsports, is calling it quits on full-time racing after the 2027 season. He was entering the final year of his current deal. Instead of just riding it out, Bowman signed a fresh one-year extension and used that moment to announce his exit plan at the same time. Right now, Bowman sits 29th in points. That's nowhere close to the playoff cut line. This season has already been a grind for him, including missing 4 races due to vertigo. Add that to a concussion that sidelined him in 2022, and a back injury that knocked him out in 2023, and a pattern starts to form. This isn't a driver getting pushed out. This is a driver getting ahead of the story. Bowman has spent essentially his entire prime with Hendrick Motorsports, one of the most decorated organizations in NASCAR history. 8 Cup Series wins, 7 playoff appearances since 2018. Next season will mark his 10th year with the team, and he's on pace to cross 400 career Cup starts. That's not a resume that screams washed up. That's a driver who still has real firepower. So why walk away now? Because NASCAR is a sport that quietly wears drivers down in ways fans don't always see. Concussions, back injuries, vertigo. These aren't just unlucky headlines. They're warning signs stacking up over multiple seasons. Bowman himself pointed at it directly, saying the sport demands a lot from a driver's body and that listening to it matters. That's not typical retirement language. That's a driver who's been paying close attention to his own limits for years. Let's get into why this move is smarter than it looks on the surface. First, the timing is almost surgical. Instead of finishing out his contract and negotiating retirement from a position of pressure where a bad final season could define his exit, Bowman locked in one more guaranteed year with Hendrick before making the announcement. That's control. That's leverage. He's not begging for a farewell tour. He's being handed one. Second, this protects his legacy. A driver who currently sits outside the playoff picture doesn't want his career remembered by a rough final stretch. By setting a firm timeline now, Bowman gives himself 2 full seasons to chase wins on his own terms, rather than limping toward an uncertain future. Third, and this is the part that should make other drivers pay attention, Bowman is prioritizing long-term health over short-term glory. In a sport where drivers often push through injuries because sitting out looks like weakness, Bowman openly admitting that his body needs to come first is a quiet but significant shift in how athletes in NASCAR are starting to talk about themselves. Is this smart or risky? It's smart. The risk here isn't in retiring, it's in what happens if a driver doesn't listen to these warning signs early enough. Bowman is choosing to exit on stable footing instead of waiting for his body to make the decision for him. For Hendrick Motorsports, this also changes the internal chessboard. They now have a defined runway to plan Bowman's successor for the number 48 car rather than scrambling mid-season if he had walked away unexpectedly. Rick Hendrick's comments make it clear this wasn't a forced exit, it was mutual respect, shaping a controlled transition. Expect a split reaction here, and that split says a lot about how fans view retirement in racing. One side of the fan base will call this respectable, a driver being honest about his health instead of chasing one more paycheck at the cost of his long-term well-being. The other side will feel the sting of losing a proven winner from one of NASCAR's flagship teams, especially with Bowman still fully capable of competing for race wins. Media coverage will likely focus heavily on the injury history. 3 separate seasons interrupted by health issues in just a few years is going to raise serious conversations about driver safety, concussion protocols, and how physically demanding this sport has become behind the scenes. Let's look at where this actually goes. Best case scenario, Bowman turns his final 2 seasons into a victory lap redemption story. He climbs back into playoff contention, grabs a few more signature wins, and exits Hendrick Motorsports as a fan favorite who left exactly the way he wanted, healthy, respected, and on his own terms. Worst case scenario, the injuries catch up faster than expected. If vertigo or other health concerns resurface before 2027, Bowman could be forced into an earlier, less celebrated exit, turning what's supposed to be a triumphant farewell into a cautionary tale about how physically unforgiving this sport really is. So here's the real question. Is Alex Bowman making the smartest move of his career by retiring on his own terms? Or is NASCAR losing a driver who still had more championships left in the tank? Drop your take in the comments. Are you team protect your health first, or team he should have pushed through and chased one more title? If you want more no fluff, straight shooting breakdowns like this one, make sure you subscribe to SportsWire USA, because the next big story in this sport is always right around the corner.